Hey guys, Snorkel MMA here, and welcome to my predictions and breakdown of UFC 309, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the for the heavyweight world title. Okay, starting off with the first fight, Veronica Hardy versus Eduardo Moura. So Hardy's coming in as the minus 160 slight favorite. Moura has fought only strawweight like her whole UFC career. She was flyweight for a bit, like early, but mostly recently she's been strawweight. And I think she missed weight twice, and now she's going up to flyweight. So that probably means that UFC said, all right, you missed weight twice, go to flyweight, or you're fucking out of here. So she did that. But Veronica Hardy has always fought at flyweight, and also she's fought at bantamweight previously as well. So Hardy will have the size advantage, and she's a fully fledged, fully built into flyweight. Also, she has Dan Hardy, and I follow Veronica Hardy on Instagram just for unknown reasons. And she's always posting training, and she seems really into her career, and she's dedicated to her career. And then the Brazilian chick, what's her name, Moura. Well, missing weight twice means you're probably not taking your career that seriously, right? To me, that shows a lack of motivation. Get grinding. So I think Hardy by decision. I think, all signs point towards Hardy. Okay, moving down to Oban Elliott versus Bassil Hafez. Oban Elliott's coming in as minus 155, the slight favorite. Bassil had that really good performance against Jack Della Maddalena, where he came in as a short notice replacement. And, that's really the only good performance he's had. I looked at some of his previous fights in his career, and he does not seem to that level. It's kind of weird how short notice, so they probably didn't have time to drug test him fully. That's just a rumor I've heard going around. And, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. But also, Oban Elliott, his past performances, he hasn't looked that good to me either. I feel like he always just wins. He's never dominant. And he just really, just squeaks out every round that he wins. So, two kind of high potential guys, I guess, if Bassil Hafez wasn't on PEDs that fight. Even Bassil's fight against Gall was pretty close. Gall had some good offense off, which is kind of cringe because Gall's pretty shit. I'm going to go Bassil Hafez though. I don't fully buy into the whole he was on PEDs. I think that, I don't know, maybe, but we don't know. So I can't take that into consideration because I don't actually know if it's true or not. It's just rumors. So if he is anywhere near as good as he was in that JDM fight, I think that he will grapple grape Oban Elliott and just control him for 3 rounds, get off minimum damage, and just, pin him down and just, get some elbows off, some punches, maybe friend submissions, but I don't think he'll finish him. I think it'll just be a submission, really boring fight. Speaking of Mickey Gall, the CM Punk Slayer, Mickey Gall is versing Ramiz Brahimaj, like a Braham from Fallout. Now, I'm not going to lie, no idea who the fuck this Ramiz guy is. He actually has fought in UFC a few times. I just don't remember him. And, I haven't uploaded for a month because I'm quite busy. I'm finishing up my degree, so I've got quite a lot of shit. So I don't really have time to, go back and watch random fights. And I do not remember this Ramiz guy. I've watched every UFC card, prelim and main, for the past 2 years. I've just been grinding, and I do not remember this guy. So, we're experiencing a mid-off here. And Mickey Gall's coming in as minus 115, so it's a near even matchup. Yeah, I think just from their records, and I do Gall, that Bassil Hafez fight, I thought that he was pretty decent. He didn't get washed by Bassil Hafez. And, I feel like he's actually all right. And the Ramiz guy, they both have really bad UFC records. Mickey Gall's record's worse on paper, but he's literally only fought in UFC, whereas this Ramiz guy fought in shit orgs. That's why his record's a bit boosted. But yeah, I'm going to go Gall by sub. They're both submission specialists as well. I just think Gall's a bit more solid, and I think he will get the sub. Okay, moving down to Marcin Tybura. Is that Marcin Tybura I see over there? I really want to fight Marcin Tybura. That's a bit of Tom Aspinall for you. Versus Jhonata Diniz. So yeah, I remember this Jhonata Diniz. He's on the Contender Series, and he's undefeated, pretty heavy hands. And Tybura is almost 40. He hasn't KO'd anyone since 2021. Diniz is quite young for heavyweight at 33, And, he has, like, barely any MMA fights. I think he started MMA in 2022. But before that, he was kickboxing. And I feel like kickboxing must take less out of you than MMA. Because, you always hear about kickboxers saying, like, oh, yeah, I fought, like, 4 times a month and shit. And MMA fighters cannot seem to fight more than... Fucking got ganked there. Yeah, but MMA fighters cannot seem to fight more than, like, once every 6 months without getting fucking injured instantly. But I always hear about kickboxers like, oh, yeah, I fought, like, 4 times a month. Or, like, Muay Thai guys, like, oh, yeah, I fought, like, 3 times a week. So, I don't really know because I don't watch kickboxing and Muay Thai, but that must mean that it takes less of a strain on your body. So, yeah. I think that Tybura has kind of changed his game up because, look, he hasn't got any KOs in a long time, and he's actually got quite a lot of submissions. So I think he's kind of shifted his game from more of a power puncher to like a grappling submission guy because he's lost a bit of his speed and maybe a bit of his power with age, and that could bode badly for Jhonata Diniz because he's a kickboxing main before, so he could get taken down and controlled, and I think that will happen. I think that. His MMA won't be up to scratch with Tybura, and Tybura will know that he was a former kickboxer, and he'll take advantage of the gap in grappling and take him down and submit him. I think he'll take him down, control him round 1, and then submit him round 2. That's what I'm going to go. Tybura sub. Okay, moving down the card to Romero Hernandez versus David Onama. So this Hernandez guy, he fights on this org. It's Global Challenge or some shit. I've never heard of it. But I think it's like people from different countries fight each other in like some fucking territory. I don't know. Yeah, but he's taking this fight because Lucas Almeida pulled out of the David Onama fight. And, I'm just going to go David Onama by KO. Onama is solid as fuck, a good prospect. And the Romero guy does not seem that good. I tried to look up his most recent fight. I could not find it. So that means that org must be absolute dog shit. They don't even post fights. Like, I looked it up and I remember I found, like, 2 links, and one of them was, like, looks sketchy as fuck. So that must be a dead org. And he's lost in that, so that's not a good sign. And also, how often do we actually see late replacements from other orgs do well? Like, Diego Lopez is, like, the fucking one example I can think of where they come in from, I guess Bassil Hafez also had a pretty good performance. I'm sure there's tons of examples, but, way more often than not, they come in and they get fucking slaughtered. And I think that's what's happening. I think this is also kind of a setup from UFC, because I feel like most of the time what UFC try and do is if someone pulls out, they'll get someone to replace them from like another org or whatever, and they'll set it up so the guy in the UFC fucking destroys him, so it makes it look like UFC is better, which of course UFC is better, but I think that's what they do. They try and set him up to get slaughtered, and like so they boost the UFC guy, and also they boost UFC stock by them shitting on another org because the guy came in. That's just that's my opinion. But I think sometimes they do give guys chances. Like Diego Lopez was doing well on the regional scene, so I think that was legit a chance, but I feel like, it's like 75-25 that they just put replacements in to get slaughtered. Okay, moving down the card to Jim Miller versus Damon Jackson. It's a fucking unk-off. Actually, Damon Jackson's not that old. I think he was like 36 or something, but yeah, Jim Miller. Oh, fuck! Especially for a, lighter weighted guy. So Damon Jackson is the minus 130 slight favorite, which is weird, because Damon Jackson is like always at featherweight, and now he's coming up to lightweight. I'm not sure if it's just he took this... I don't think anyone dropped out. No one dropped out, so this is just a scheduled fight. So I'm not sure if Damon Jackson just was sick of cutting to featherweight and now he's moving up. I do remember Damon Jackson's last fight. Didn't he... The guy missed weight and he controlled him on the ground, right? It was pretty depressing and his coach was pissed. So maybe that's why. Maybe they for some reason, wanted to go up. That doesn't really make sense. So he gets controlled on the ground because he's underweight, so he goes up in weight, so he's going to always get controlled. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, so that does not, in my mind, that doesn't bode well for Damon Jackson. He's like a submission one trick, and he has weak grappling at featherweight. So I feel like Jim Miller, being a natural lightweight, he probably cuts to get to lightweight way more than Damon Jackson, who's going to be naturally bigger. I feel like he'll just be able to defend his sloppy as fuck entries and just keep it on the feet and just piece him up. And I think that Damon Jackson, a little bit of a quitter, I think it's fair to say. He kind of quits when he gets damaged. And, Jim Miller was legit against unranked guys. It's whenever he goes up to ranked guys, he always gets slaughtered, but he can beat every unranked guy. So, yeah, I think that he is going to... I'm probably going to put money. He's going to be on my parlay for sure. Jim Miller, knockout. But I'm just going to put Jim Miller win on my parlay, but I'm going to pick Jim Miller, knockout. Moving down to Chris Scissorhands Weidman Him and Jones on the same card is kind of crazy. Everyone has to be wearing goggles. Versus Eryk Anders. Anders is coming in as the minus 170 favorite. I put make an eye poke joke. I did that already. Yeah, this seems like a very close fight to me. Very close fight to me. I'm going to edit that out. I just stole bedtime's bit there. Yeah, but I think, yeah, Weidman looked pretty decent in the silver fight. Like, even take away the eye pokes, he looked way better than his fight against Brad Tavares. He looked way better in that Bruno Silva fight than his fight against Brad Tavares. I do think Bruno Silva is a bit worse than Brad Tavares, maybe that's why. But if you look at Eryk Anders, I feel like Eryk Anders was only good when he first came into the UFC because he had KO power. I think technically he's not very good, and I think that he aged out of his KO power, and that's why he's on a massive, that's why he massively declined. He's losing every fight. I feel like he's technically not good, and he only ever won because of the power. And I feel like Chris Weidman is probably the more technical striker and the more technical grappler. And Chris Weidman does have a pretty shitty chin. He's lost by knockout 6 times. But Anders kind of pillow-handed nowadays. So I think he won't be able to knock Weidman out, and I think Weidman will be a bit more technical, and he'll just squeak out 2 out of 3 rounds, like a split decision win. Okay, moving down to the prelim headliner, Jonathan Martinez versus Marcus McGhee. McGhee is coming in as the minus 120 near even favorite. Actually a fucking good juicer fight, bro. It's probably one of the best fights on the card, which I guess is why it's the prelim headliner. When, honestly, this card's getting a lot of shit, but I don't think it's that bad. I feel like there's some pretty alright fights on this. I mean, I'm definitely not buying it, but it's a good card. Just to watch for free if you can. I have a deal with UFC. But, you know what I mean? For a free card, this is pretty good. For a paid card, this is some absolute horse shit. Well, not horse shit. The top 3 fights are pretty good. But yeah, for a free card, this is good. That was a wink. I think that Martinez is probably the more technical striker. He has really clean leg kicks, clean, rangy strikes. But McGhee, Marcus McGhee, bro, he has the death touch. He has power like crazy, and he's just knocking everyone out. Sometimes I'll think of a fight, and I just see a sequence, and I just can't get out of my head that that's what's going to happen. I know it's probably more likely that Martinez, I don't know. Well, McGhee is the favorite, but when I first saw the fight, I was like, oh, Martinez is just gonna leg kick spam him and just keep him at range. But then I had a sequence in my head that I think actually might happen. I think that Martinez is gonna just be spamming leg kicks. McGhee's gonna get a read, and he's gonna send a fucking straight, a power straight, power handed straight down the middle, and just fucking knock him down, and then just ground and pound and finish him. I think that's what's gonna happen. I think Martinez is gonna be too reliant on the leg kicks because he's a leg kick spammer. But no one ever gets reads on it. But McGhee is fucking good. So I think that he's going to get a read, put a straight down the middle, right to the fucking chin, knock him out. That's what I see. I'm going to go McGhee by KO. Okay, moving down the card. Mauricio Ruffy versus James Llontop. So Ruffy's coming in as the minus 750 huge favorite. There's 2 really big favorites on this card. Shout out Fighting Nerds. Actually, crazy how, that, because they're kind of a meme, the Fighting Nerds, but now they're actually, fucking probably the best camp in UFC right now. The best prospect camp for sure. City Kickboxing's really fallen off. And, what's another really good camp? Well, Fighting Nerds is the most popular right now anyway. So yeah, I saw a training video on Twitter. I'll put it in there now. Yeah, and, I always see training videos just sparring, not even sparring, just the guys holding pads, just I don't know what's that even called, just training. And I'm always I'll see Connor videos and stuff. I'm that doesn't even look that cool, but holy fuck, that looks like it's on 1.5 speed. It looks that combo is clean as fuck, and that's actually one of the most impressive training videos I've ever seen. And yeah, James Llontop stepping in for Charlie Campbell on short notice, and he's coming off 2 UFC losses. So yeah, I'm going to go, having all that in mind, I'm going to go Ruffy by KO round 1. I think Llontop, probably after those 2 losses, he got offered this fight, and he's like, fuck, I kind of have to take this, or they might just, I don't know. I don't know how the contract works. I reckon what happens is, he got signed to a 2-fight deal, he lost both of them, he was out of the UFC, and they're like, alright kid, Here's your last chance. Come back in here and fight Mauricio Ruffy, motherfucker. And then he was like, oh, okay, I have to. Yeah, and I said before how they always bring in short replacement fights so the prospect gets a fucking KO win. That is this for sure. I see Mauricio Ruffy just knocking this cunt out. He lost one other fight in round 1. I think it was by sub. But, James Llontop isn't like chinned. Like he's chinned like completely fucked. But I think his last fight was a pretty hard fight, and it wasn't that long ago. So yeah, I think they're setting Mauricio Ruffy up here. He's got like a big hype around him. I always see Twitter videos about him. Everyone talks about him. Even though I think he only has like fucking 5 fights or something. But yeah, crazy talented looking guy. Hopefully it's not going to be a fraud check. That it actually, imagine this is a fraud check. Nah, surely not. Nah, I don't think so. So yeah, I'm going to go Mauricio Ruffy round 1 KO. Okay, moving down to Karine Silva versus Viviane Araújo. Why is this on the main card? I mean, I guess Karine Silva, she actually looks like one of the very few WMA fighters that actually looks impressive technique-wise. And, hopefully it's a good sign that, the next generation of WMA is going to be a bit more technical. Like, I feel like there's just so many NPC WMA fighters. Like, I'm not like a hater of WMA, but there are a lot of just NPC, just like, what the fuck is this skill level type shit going on in WMA. But yeah, Karine Silva was coming as a -295 moderate favorite. I'm going to go Silva by decision. I think this is pretty clear. One thing about this card is there's a lot of fights that seem to be set up just to give a guy with hype a win. Kind of a parlay maxer card, I guess. Yeah, I think that it's going to be a decision. Like, Karine Silva's dangerous everywhere, but fucking Araújo, she's mid as fuck, but she never really loses to KO or submission, and, I feel like she's pretty tough, and I think on the feet, she'll, survive. She'll have a good enough chin to not get finished. It's pretty easy to not get finished in WMA, let's be honest. She'll probably just, get clinched against the fence and just kind of accept it, and on the ground, she'll just, position camp. What was that? That was weird. Yeah, she'll just position camp and just, hold her down so she doesn't get submitted type shit. I think it'll be a pretty boring fight, but it'll just be a complete domination by Karine Silva. Okay, moving down to Bo Nickal versus Paul Craig. Bo Nickal coming in as the -1,000 huge favorite. Yeah, -1,000 is kind of insane. You think about -1,000, it's like Paul Craig isn't that level of shit, but also how the fuck is Paul Craig going to win this fight? I think the only way Paul Craig wins this fight is if he has improved in striking at least 18%. I don't think the bridge in their striking is that crazy. But Bo Nickal can pretty much just decide where this fight's going to be. If he wants it to be on the ground, he can be on the ground, but it's kind of dangerous. He can get triangled or armbar or something. But if he wants it to be on the feet, there's no fucking way Paul Craig is going to get fucking Bo Nickal down. Have you seen Paul Craig's takedowns, bro? It's actually laughable how disgustingly bad his takedowns are. And he just does that meme with the BJJ guys on their back, just come at me, bro. He's actually like that. And he fucking screams at people's face and acts like he's a warrior, and he just sits on his back. But yeah, the only technique I've seen from Paul Craig that's actually decent is a roundhouse kick to the body. He was kind of spamming that against Caio Barrio. But, Bo Nickal has legit hands. Not legit, he has power. I don't think his technique is crisp, I think his technique is definitely getting better as he's been in the UFC for longer. But he has power. He knocks Kunz out. So yeah, I think that what's going to happen, I'm going to go Bo Nickal by KO. I think probably round 2. I think what's going to happen is, as I said, I think Bo Nickal can decide where he wants it to be. And I think that he knows that he could probably control him on the ground if he wants to and maybe submit him, but it's more dangerous. And I think he's going to be okay, I'm just going to keep him on the feet, deny his pathetic takedowns, and just fucking outbox him. Just be in boxing range. He has nothing to fear with Paul Craig. And yeah, we'll just piece him up, I think. Moving down to Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2. Oliveira's coming in as a -250 moderate favorite. Oh, guys, this is going to be an unpopular pick. I just have a feeling Chandler's got this, bro. I don't know. I just can't shake the feeling that Michael Chandler's going to win this. I'm picking Chandler by KO, round 1 or 2. Look, this is my rationale for this. You know how Oliveira always gets dropped against strikers of power? Justin, Dustin, they all drop him. But the reason why he's successful because they can't fall him down on the ground because they have like a moment or even many moments of hesitation because in their mind they're like, oh shit, if I fall him down on the ground, this guy has the most subs in UFC history. He could sub me. You know, that's a possibility because they have like a rational brain. Their rationality thinks, fuck, I should just keep this on the feet. And that's why it's bad because Oliveira has a pretty weak chin, but he has like Wolverine level regeneration. So he can get knocked down a million times, bro. And then eventually he's going to drag you down or he's going to knock you down and then follow you down. But Michael Chandler does not have that rational thinking in his head. He's so delusional and he thinks he's the main character so much that if he drops Oliveira, there's not even going to be a moment of hesitation in his head. He's not going to be like, oh, fuck, most subbed in UFC history. If I go down here, I could get subbed. There's going to be none of that moment of hesitation. And that moment is the reason why Charles Oliveira always wins, is because that moment of hesitation is all he needs to get his Wolverine regeneration off. But if Michael Chandler follows him down instantly after dropping him, I think he could finish him. I think that, yeah, he won't have time to get back because Michael Chandler won't hesitate and he'll actually finish him. And yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. Easily what could happen is Michael Chandler drops him, follows him down, and he just gets submitted. Like, he just gets reversed, and he lost to submission to fucking Dustin Poirier, like his first sub. That was Dustin Poirier's like first sub in like fucking 10 years or some shit. But that's because he was already heavily damaged, I think, and he was tired. If he drops Oliveira in round 1, he has decent, obviously he's a good wrestler, and also he has decent, submission defense. Because he survived that Oliveira rear naked choke for like fucking 3 minutes. And that's going to, even if he was going to have like a 0.25 second hesitation, that in his mind's going to get rid of that, and he's just going to follow him down instantly. I don't know, I think Chandler's going to win this by KO. I really hope it doesn't happen. I hope Charles Oliveira gets the sub, or I hope he knocks him out again. You know what's weird? I was watching like Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler round 1. No, right. I watched the whole fight, but yeah, especially in like round 1 and round 2, Michael Chandler's getting hit by like absolutely clean Dustin Poirier shots, which on paper he hits harder than Oliveira, right? Probably. And he doesn't get dropped. And then he gets hit by like the fucking weakest Charles Oliveira punch ever. And I know like his hands were totally down and he took it clean, but he took tons of Poirier shots clean and he didn't fold. And he just instantly folded that one really weak Oliveira hit. I've always found that hit weird how he got dropped by that. Okay, moving down to the main event. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Jones is coming in as the minus 650, huge favorite. Okay, when I first started watching MMA, I was actually, Jon Jones was my favorite fighter. I watched like his early fights. I was like, holy fuck, this guy's a beast. And then, I found out about all of his like disgusting things he did out of the cage, like, domestic abuse, hit and run, fucking, and then I was like, you know what? That is cringe as fuck. But let's separate the art from the mixed martial artist, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And just be like, okay, he's a beast in the cage. Who gives a fuck what he does out of the cage? I don't give a fuck if he's a Nazi outside of the cage, bro. It's about what he does inside the cage to me. I know that's kind of a fucked opinion to have, but like, what does him doing on the outside of the cage have to do with me? Like, it's all about his performance inside the cage to me. And, there's the PEDs, which does taint his actual octagon, like, actually does taint what he does inside the cage. But let's be real, back in the day when he was popping for PEDs, everyone was on PEDs. He obviously just could not hide as good as everyone else. Like, fucking Chael Sonnen said that he was on PEDs the whole time. Like, he was on the exact same shit Jon Jones was on, but he obviously just knew how to, like, mitigate the system better. Or maybe Jones was just PED maxing harder than everyone else. But I also saw a thing where apparently, like, Cormier, pretty much he had similar testosterone level to Jon Jones on their fight. So, everyone's always given Cormier the pity, like, oh, he was on PEDs. I think most people in that generation were on PEDs before, strict drug testing was around. And let's be real, like, Usman, what the fuck are all those pimples? Like, a lot of people look like they're still on PEDs, so there must be some way to get around it. So, I just took the PED thing with a grain of salt. It is what it is. I feel like a lot of people were on it. But this thing that he's doing now, ducking the interim champion, is absolutely cringe, and it's ruined my opinion of Jon Jones inside the cage. Like, I already knew he was a piece of shit outside of the cage, but now I don't even respect him inside the cage. You can't be the heavyweight champion and not fight the interim champion. Even the fact that this fight here is happening is ridiculous. It should be Tom Aspinall or Jon Jones. But the fact that he's saying, if I beat Stipe, I want to fight Alex Pereira. It's either Alex Pereira, and then he says, or I'll retire pretty much. Or he says, I'll fight Alex Pereira and I'll just vacate the heavyweight title. What the fuck? That is so cringe. I cannot believe that. That just, actually, I can't even he's just ridiculously fucking cringe, bro. Lost so much respect for him because of that. I already had no respect for him as a person, but now I lost respect for him as a fighter as well. It's actually crazy. I mean, even if it's a ploy to like make Dana pay for the Aspinall fight, it's still fucked to me. Like, even just the way he's been talking. Honestly, yeah. If it turns out that he does end up fighting Aspinall and it was all just a ruse to make Dana pay him more, okay, I would still have lost some respect, but I could understand that, I guess. And then I would still respect him as a mixed martial artist. But if he actually ducks Tom Aspinall and does not fight him, if he retires after Stipe, that's one thing, okay? He ducked him, kinda. But if he fights someone else and not Tom, no respect. Respect gone. If he retires after Stipe, that's like minus 5,000 aura. But if he fights someone else besides Aspinall, that's like minus 1 million aura. That's fucked. Anyway, let's get to the fight. I just wanted to get that out of the way, just make my opinion clear on that. He was already a piece of shit human, now he's going to be a duck as well. I mean, he ducked Ngannou, pretty much, right? Like, whatever. It doesn't take fucking 5 years to gain like 30 pounds, bro. There's no fucking way. We all know you were just fucking doing coke and just like, fucking having sex with men and beating your wife for those two, like at least 3 out of 5 of those years. Ducked Ngannou, pretty much. Cunt. Anyway, whatever. Into the fight. I also want to mention one more thing. I saw this thing on Twitter. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but apparently they are going to be using the old gloves in this fight. That must be a lie. There's no way that's true because, apparently the new gloves make it so it's harder to poke people in the eyes. And now I saw a thing on Twitter where I don't believe it. I don't think it's official. I don't believe it that they're going to be using the old gloves so Jones can poke him in the eye more. If that's actually true, that is fucked. But I don't actually know if that is true. But to the fight, I think Stipe is being kind of slept on, and if karma is real, Jones will get KO'd. Like, I could see him rocking Jones. Like, Jones does have a fucking solid chin though, but I could definitely see Stipe like in like boxing range, getting him to the body and like fucking, getting like a right hook off and just dropping him. I could see that happening, but I am going to be picking Jones by decision. I think that the age gap, there's a reason why Jones is a favorite. Everyone's disregarding Stipe. He hasn't fought in like fucking 4 years or some shit, and he came off a brutal KO loss before those 4 years. And, he's like, so he's 6 years older than John? 5 years? And, Jones will still have the reach advantage, and they'll be probably around the same weight. Nah, I don't think so. I think Jones will win, but he's lost aura. Okay, guys, that's all from me. Sorry for, I think I ranted a bit too much there, but, I'm a huge Tom Aspinall fan, so this really pissed me the fuck off, bro. Tom Aspinall's probably like my 4th favorite fighter. Probably goes like Whitaker, Sandhagen, Yuri, and then probably Aspinall. Yeah, probably my 4th favorite fighter. So yeah, this cuts deep to me, man. It's fucked. Okay. Enjoy this card, and I'll see you in the next one.